Welcome back to Champion News Talk Radio. We are brought to you by championnews.net. Our founder, Jack Roser, and myself have Denise Cattoni with us. And we were talking about healthcare. And that was the big fish that really got this movement going.
Wall Street Journal has just published the terrible impact that's going to have on our whole country.
But we knew that. That's why we were out there screaming.
They've put the numbers to it. The liars that you've got, the professional liars the press that are in tune with Obama, the great prevaricator. There we are.
Well, and even
Lincoln
the CBO.
was the emancipator. We got the great prevaricator now, and he's been telling us a bunch of junk about what this is going to cost. And it's
even though no one read the bill and all the other thing, and the CBO came in, it had to come in under $1 trillion, so they decided it'd be $980 billion.
Ridiculous.
Now they're adjusting their own numbers, $2.3 trillion. Clearly, it's going to be far more than that.
Now, Denise, there's another thing.
And the worst thing about it of all is that it sticks the stinking government into doing this single-payer system, which is what they've done.
That's all they wanted all along, by the way.
Look at the school system. What it does is it removes the citizens from the spending of his money.
Absolutely.
When you want your house, your car, the dress, whatever you're buying, your food, you deal with the person that's presenting it to you, and you get what you want. But when it comes to the important things in life, like education and our health, no. It's going to be given to you in the way that the government wants to give it to you. You have lost the power to deal with the provider of the service. The stinking federal government, the great prevaricator, this guy that's so confident of himself, he's just full of arrogance and no business ability. The great prevaricator is going to decide what kind of care you're going to get.
Well, and he'll be out of office by the time things start getting really, really bad.
But you know what? Moving along, we have an issue right now, to your point, Jack, that we have something called Common Core. And that is something that's top down, the government telling us how to have our kids' education be established. And during the break before, you were talking about some really crazy things like Social Security numbers. And why don't you let our listening audience hear some of the more shocking things on Common Core?
Well, and the one thing that I wanted to say...
I got involved with this Common Core thing quite a bit ago. There are some teachers from District 59 that wanted to start a charter school. And Pete Phillip, of all people, sent them to me. He said, Jack could help you. And so I did. And in fact, I bought a piece of land to grow the school on, but I couldn't actually go through with it because the teachers' union practically rioted. They turned out a mob. We were going to kill children where we were going to put it. So we got that thing stopped. We persisted, and we did get what was called the Thomas Jefferson Core Curriculum School. But core curriculum in that time, and I'm going back about 15 years, the core curriculum was an outstandingly high-quality thing. It was meant to raise the quality of education. And so now they've taken a word that had a good connotation, and actually it's a dumbing down of education and nationalizing of it and making everything uniform across the whole country, everywhere. The tests, even if you wanted to be independent like homeschoolers, the tests that will show where the student is at are going to be tests that were arranged for those that are speaking the language of Common Core.
Right, it is the dumbing down of our kids so that they can look at it as a world, how to educate our kids.
Even
with the rest
attempts to
of
be
the world.
independent will be thwarted to a certain extent.
And the problem with it is, actually, we like to call it Obama Core because it's actually worse than Obamacare because no one actually looked at it. So Arne Duncan brought it with him. Brought it with him into D.C. in 2009. And January of 2010, the governors were all told that if you want your federal money, George Bush's No Child Left Behind is gone, and so now you have Common Core. And the governors took 45 out of 50 states took the money, and so now they have Common Core.
Curse.
It actually goes into effect, just so people know, that actually in 2014, the next school year, this upcoming school year, is when it actually goes into full effect.
But let's hear about some of these underlying things about Social Security numbers.
Look who your name you dropped here before. Duncan? Where's he from?
Chicago.
The
Illinois.
marvelous
Well, right,
school
absolutely.
system of
Chicago,
Chicago.
Illinois.
Chicago.
This stinking, lousy, rotten school system that costs
Absolutely.
$16,000 a
And
year.
that's why I said it's actually
and
made
only
worse by the
50%
fact
of them
no one saw
graduate.
it.
And only 50% graduate.
Right.
This thing stinks by anybody's measure.
Absolutely.
And he gets called up to do this thing for the whole nation.
Well, he's a
Tell
friend
our
of the
listeners
president.
some of these crazy things. Social Security number.
Obama
parents'
came
voting
out of this
records, if your
cesspool as
parents
well.
have a gun.
Right. The scariest part about it is exactly what you just said, is that, and by the way, this really is a nonpartisan, non-political issue. It's about people who care about their children. And here in the state of Illinois, we actually have what you would call Democrats and or progressives who actually want to stop Common Core because they're actually concerned about the same things that we are, which are things like tracking your children. They're tracking our kids by Social Security number. They input things like their hair color, what color their eyes are, and it starts from there. And then they put as much data into this computer that nobody knows where all this information is, but they're going to load from cradle to grave. So then they are allowed to ask questions like, how do your parents vote? How much do your parents make? Do you have a gun in the house? I mean, their medical history will go into this. And from what we can tell, no one can tell us where this information is going to go. Who has access to this information? Are people going to be able to sell that information? Like if they're looking, if someone sells video games for kids from 5 to 10, are you going to be able to just grab that information? And we've been told, well, yeah, we probably will be able to sell that information.
This is frightening,
Combine
ladies and
that along
gentlemen.
with the cameras that are watching us every place.
Go-
1984 is arriving.
Yes, here. It's here. Stay with us. We'll be back.